The rain was falling like the sky itself was grieving the moment when a broken man stood outside a stranger's door and whispered the words he never thought he would say. "Pretend to be my wife tonight," he begged, his voice shaking not from the cold rain but from the pain he had hidden for years. The woman standing before him looked into his tired eyes and saw the truth he had spent so long trying to bury. She quietly replied, "Only if you stop pretending you're fine." Before we begin this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a caring heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel Heart Kindness Story. The man's name was Kaelen Voss, a successful architect known by everyone in the city as someone who had everything. He lived in a beautiful house overlooking the ocean, wore expensive suits, and always appeared calm and confident. People admired him because he seemed unstoppable. But behind the polished image was a man who had forgotten what happiness felt like. For the past 3 years, Kaelen had been living with a wound nobody could see. After losing his younger sister in a tragic accident, he became a different person. He buried his sadness beneath work, meetings, and endless responsibilities. Whenever someone asked if he was okay, he smiled and said the same words, "I'm fine." But he wasn't. On the outside, he was a man who had built towers that touched the sky. On the inside, he was someone barely holding himself together. The night everything changed was supposed to be one of the most important evenings of his life. Kaelen's company was receiving a major award, and investors, friends, and important people from across the city were attending. There was only one problem. Everyone expected him to arrive with his wife. The problem was, Kaelen had never been married. Years ago, he had created a false image of a perfect personal life because he thought people respected happiness more than honesty. When business partners asked about his family, he never corrected their assumptions. When rumors spread that his wife was private and rarely appeared in public, he allowed the story to continue. He thought pretending was easier than explaining his loneliness. But that night, the lie finally caught up with him. His biggest investor had arranged the event specifically to introduce Kaelen and his wife to influential guests. If the truth came out, he feared losing everything he had built. So, desperate and ashamed, he drove through the storm to the one person he knew who might understand. Her name was Seraphina Vale. Seraphina was not famous, wealthy, or connected to powerful people. She worked at a small community library where she spent her days helping children discover stories. She had a gentle spirit, but life had not been gentle with her. She had once dreamed of becoming a writer, but after taking care of her sick father for years, she gave up her dreams to be there for the person she loved most. When her father passed away, she found herself alone, carrying memories instead of plans. Still, she smiled. Not because life was easy, but because she understood that broken things could still be beautiful. Kaelen had met her months earlier when he donated books to the library. He remembered how she spoke to everyone with patience and warmth. She was the only person who looked at him without seeing his money or reputation. She saw him. When Seraphina opened the door that stormy night, she immediately knew something was wrong. Kaelen looked exhausted. His hair was wet from the rain, his suit was wrinkled, and his eyes carried a sadness he could no longer hide. She didn't ask why he was there. She already knew. "Kaelen, what happened?" she asked softly. He looked away. For a moment, the powerful businessman disappeared, and all that remained was a man who was afraid. "I need your help," he said. She waited. He swallowed hard and finally admitted the truth. "I need you to pretend to be my wife tonight." Silence filled the room. Seraphina stared at him, not with anger, but with disappointment. "You came here because you think I can help you continue a lie," she said. Kaelen lowered his head. "I know how it sounds." "No," she replied. "You know how it feels." Those words hurt more than he expected because they were true. He had spent years pretending. Pretending he wasn't lonely. Pretending he wasn't grieving. pretending he didn't wake up every night haunted by memories. Seraphina stepped closer and looked at him. "I'll go with you," she said. Kaelen looked surprised. "But only if you promise me one thing." "What?" "Stop pretending you're fine." For the first time in years, Kaelen had no answer. Because everyone else had asked him about his success. Nobody had asked about his pain. At the event, everyone admired the couple they believed they were seeing. Seraphina played along, smiling politely and standing beside Kaelen. But unlike the people around them, she wasn't impressed by his achievements. She noticed the way his hands trembled when people praised him. She noticed how his smile disappeared whenever someone mentioned family. She noticed how he looked at empty spaces, as if someone important should still be there. During dinner, a guest asked them how they met. Kaelen froze. His entire life had been built on fake answers. Before he could speak, Seraphina gently held his hand and said, "We met when he needed someone to remind him that being strong doesn't mean being alone." The room went quiet. Kaelen looked at her. It wasn't the answer anyone expected. But somehow, it was the most honest thing he had ever heard. Later that evening, they stepped outside onto a balcony overlooking the city. The noise from the celebration faded behind them. "You didn't have to say that," Kaelen whispered. "Yes, I did." "Why?" "Because I saw the way you looked tonight. You weren't afraid of people discovering the truth. You were afraid someone would finally see the pain behind it." Kaelen looked away. The rain had stopped, but his eyes became heavy. "I lost my sister," he finally said. "She was the only person who knew the real me. After she died, I didn't know who I was anymore." Seraphina listened. "I thought if I became successful enough, busy enough, respected enough, maybe the pain would disappear. But every achievement felt empty." His voice cracked. "I built a life everyone admired, but I hated waking up in it." Seraphina's heart broke for him because she understood that kind of loneliness. She had also spent years carrying pain quietly. "You know what hurts the most?" she said. "Not losing someone. It's believing you have to carry the loss alone." Kaelen looked at her. For the first time, he didn't hide his tears. And Seraphina didn't judge him. She simply stayed. That night was supposed to be an act. A performance. A pretend marriage. But somewhere between the quiet conversations and honest confessions, something real began to grow. Over the next few weeks, Kaelen changed. Not suddenly. Not magically. But slowly. He started visiting the library more often. He began talking about his sister instead of avoiding her memory. He learned that healing didn't mean forgetting someone. It meant allowing love to exist alongside the pain. Seraphina also changed. Kaelen encouraged her to return to her writing. He reminded her that sacrificing for others was beautiful, but abandoning herself was not. For years, she had believed her dreams were gone. He helped her find them again. Their relationship became something neither of them expected. Not perfect. Not without struggles. But honest. One evening, months later, Kaelen returned to the same place where everything began. Seraphina opened the library door and found him standing there. This time, he wasn't desperate. He wasn't afraid. He was simply himself. "I need to ask you something," he said. She smiled. "Another favor?" He shook his head. "No more pretending." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "I spent so long pretending to have a perfect life that I forgot what a real one feels like. You taught me that love isn't about looking strong. It's about being honest when you're not." Seraphina's eyes filled with tears. "I don't want you to pretend anymore," she whispered. "I don't," he replied. "Not with you." The woman who once agreed to pretend to be his wife became the person who helped him become himself again. Years later, people still talked about Kaelen Voss, the successful architect who transformed the city skyline. But the people who knew him best remembered something else. They remembered the night a broken man asked someone to pretend to love him. And instead, she taught him how to stop pretending he was okay. Because sometimes, the person who enters your life as a temporary solution becomes the reason you finally find your way home. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe to Heart Kindness Story. Your support helps more emotional stories reach people who need them. Before the story ends, leave a comment and tell us this: what is one kindness someone showed you that you will never forget? Because a small act of kindness can sometimes save a heart that nobody else even knew was breaking. And remember, the strongest people are not those who never fall apart. They are the ones brave enough to stop pretending and finally let someone see the truth.